friends! My name is Shanna, and today I'm here to talk about my favorite Kingdom Hearts character, Kairi. And in this, I kind of want to talk about what I think would be a good role for her in the future going forward, or a few examples of roles that she could take on, actually. The first would have to be Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who needs no introduction. I feel like she has a lot in common with Kairi in that I think that both are somewhat supposed to be, popular girly girls, but Buffy is a great example of how you can be this, but also still be doing masculine things like fighting. A little info on Buffy's arc. All of season 1, she isn't much interested in the Slayer role, but falls into it more and more, and then in Prophecy Girl, the season finale, when some of Willow's friends are killed, and it just really hits home for Willow because this is the first time that any of their loved ones have been targeted by vampires. Buffy really steps into her role as Slayer to protect more of the townsfolk of Sunnydale, even when she knows that she's supposed to die when she faces the Master that night to stop him from rising from the Hellmouth. Season 2 is about her relationship with her vampire love Angel as they get more closer, but since Angel has a soul, he sort of has split personalities, Angel and Angelus. Angelus is the vampire side of him with no soul, whereas Angel is the human side of him who cares about all the horrible things he did in the past and doesn't want to do them anymore. Something happens that makes Angel lose his soul again, so that he becomes Angelus, and Angelus tries to destroy the world, and Buffy, in one of her stronger and more iconic moments, has to make the tough decision to kill Angel, even though she doesn't want to, for the sake of the world, because he started this ritual to destroy it, where the only thing that can stop it is for him to die. And the worst part is that Willow had gotten Angel's soul back, and then so he was himself, but he still had to die and be punished for what Angelus had done. Season 3 Buffy is her dealing with Faith, another Slayer who is a dark reflection of Buffy and all the bad that she could be, and Faith goes absolutely psychotic that season, and Buffy has to make the harsh decision to try to kill her too, and also Angel has come back this season, and while they're not trying to repeat the mistakes of the previous one, they've sort of fallen into each other again, but at the end they realize that they have to step aside from each other, that their place in the world is for the world, not for each other. Season 4 Buffy is more so college stuff, her growing up, dealing with all of that, trying to have a normal boyfriend for the first time, but also sort of being like resigned in some ways. She doesn't really feel for Riley the way that she did Angel, because that went so bad that she's shut her feelings off. Season 5 Buffy is my favorite. It's when she has to make the difficult decision to essentially die so her sister doesn't have to be sacrificed to save the world. Long story there. Her sister actually isn't her sister, but is this key that's needed to release the full power of this evil goddess, and these monks turned the key to human form and made her out of Buffy's blood, and with false memories, so because they knew the Slayer would protect her that way. And once this ritual with Dawn starts, where she does start unlocking the way for Glory to come, that's the goddess, to come back. The only way for it to stop is for her to die. But Buffy then realizes that since she and Dawn share the same blood, that she can die instead, and she does. In season 6, Willow, her best friend who's a witch, brings Buffy back, and the entire season is a metaphor for depression, and Buffy is really struggling and doing things she never would have before because she doesn't want to be back. She was in heaven and her friends pulled her out of it. Season 7 Buffy is her being a role model to these other Slayer potentials who the big bad is targeting to kill them all. That way, if one Slayer dies, another one can never be awoken. And she's like kind of showing them the ropes and putting them through what she did the first season. And it's really just Buffy coming into her own. I just think that would be like such a great character for Kairi to follow. Another character also from the Buffyverse that I think would be great for Kairi is Cordelia. Cordelia starts the story as your typical mean girl, like kind of bully rival to Buffy and her friends, but as supernatural stuff goes on, eventually Buffy saves Cordelia from that, and Cordelia is thankful, and Buffy and her friends even ask her to hang out with them, but she refuses. And this is not the end of her arc, because she starts getting pulled into more supernatural stuff and having that most other people in Sunny don't know about, and has to pal around with Buffy and them because of it, like for her own survival, to help out with the town. And she grows more and more to care about the Scoobies, that's what Buffy and her friends are called, and the world, and like offers to drive Buffy home when Giles has betrayed her and Buffy is clearly broken. Is like beating up on this guy when like he beat up Buffy. And that's the end of her arc in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But in Angel the series, she ends up going to LA trying to become an actress, but realizes that she's a small fish in a big ocean now and kind of has to take a bite of humble pie, and ends up working for Angel in this like supernatural private investigator thing that he ends up doing, and starts to care for people more that way, becomes more humble, and ends up with these visions of seeing the future of people who are in danger that at first she does not like because they're painful and she's still selfish, but eventually, and she's at first she's trying to kiss anyone because that's how the power's passed, to get them to have it instead. But eventually she decides to keep it, even though it's killing her, that this is who she is. And actually at one point, Angel had the gift in an alternate universe, and she is kissing him to take it back from him and to restore everything back to how she thinks it was supposed to be. And just overall, like Cordelia's transformation as a character in Angel the series is so amazing, and I think Kairi's kind of like that too, because she has good intentions, but she's snarky, and I think that she could learn to become a champion and someone as selfless as Cordelia ends up becoming, and that's not even touching all of Cordelia's story. Another person is Tree from Happy Death Day, who keeps getting killed on her birthday, but the day resets when she gets killed, so she's doing it over and over. And though she's a terrible person at the start, she learns who she is through all of this. And she says, when you relive a day so many times, you kind of figure out who you are, and she becomes a better person. And I think that's something we could see, the somewhat popular Kairi Girl Day when, Tree is so clever. She's not a fighter, but she learns, through this loop that there's a certain time that the power will go out in, the entire city. And at one point she's in a fight with the killer over his gun, and really she's no match against him. She shouldn't win this fight, but she times it because she knows when the power is gonna go out, but he doesn't, and so that once he gets the gun away from her, once the power goes out, she can get it back and use it on him and shoot him and win the day. Another example is Hermione from Harry Potter. Kairi could easily be someone who is just book smart. I could easily see that. She's the one of the trio who's been going to school through everything. I feel Riku is more street smart, but Kairi could be book smart. Nomura, write some stuff in here, where you need her book smart, like with Garnet and Nine, where she was so intelligent, but and that aided them a lot, but she also had to sort of learn how to be a normal girl too, to blend in with the masses. There's just so much you can do with this character, just so much potential. I love her so much, and these are just a few examples of what she could be, and that I kind of hope Nomura delivers on with her in the future. Thank you, and bye.